Good morning, everybody, and thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup. I'm Niraj Shah and wishing all of you a belated Merry Christmas and, of course, have a safe week of celebrations. Please stay safe, most importantly. Anyways, let's get back to the Trade Setup and what is looking like happening in this very eventful years last week as we enter the last week of 2020, of course. So the key developments, and it's a bit of a mixed tone, I think, because it's changing slightly. But yeah, the announced key development was that Donald Trump has refused to sign that major stimulus bill, $900 billion stimulus bill for the COVID relief and government funding bill. But I think Trump has said that good news is coming on its way, or good news is on its way. And therefore, maybe, just maybe, equity markets might take all of that positively. So when I look at what's happening across the Asian screen, US futures and SGX, there is a tick of green. Save for the Ant Group stocks in Hong Kong, which have come down because of the Chinese regulatory crackdowns, the world markets by and large are looking optimistic. 0.25% for HSI, Kospi marginally in the green, Straits Times, ASX, or whatever is working is, except for Shanghai, is largely trading in the green. And Shanghai has obvious reasons because of the Chinese crackdown on the Alibaba Group or the Ant Group. And that's a different headache altogether, by the way. SGX Nifty, of course, trading with a fair degree of green. The last time that I checked, it was about 0.47% in green. So we have a gain about 0.33% to 0.4% in the green for the SGX Nifty, which is actually a good sign. Now, keep in mind, last week was the first week wherein we kind of were flat. So Sensex had 8 straight weeks, but the Nifty fell just short of the 8 straight weeks gain. And therefore, it is a week wherein a variety of stimulus and depressants kept the global markets in balance. The question is, what will happen this week? Now, when I spoke to technical traders, all of them suggest that a sustainable move above that 13,780, 13,800 could lead to a continuation of move towards the 14,000 levels. I reckon that tech stocks might continue to their upward move, even if the markets trade flat. But aside of that, there is very little to suggest that the large caps by itself, on account of global support or global fund support, might continue their up move. And therefore, maybe, just maybe, the focus for the market shift towards the mid caps. Of course, there will be individual names which will do well. But I think the broader market story, if the large caps or the Nifty and the Sensex stay flattish or don't crack too much, would be that the broader market stocks would continue to rise. And maybe that's where all of us need to keep our eyes on. Of course, in terms of stocks to be watched out for, I think one I'll watch out for, Tata Motors, Tata Steel, Motherson Sumi, that entire Brexit trade. Now, very difficult to say which one will do how. Most people believe that Tata Motors will do well because of this. But I'm just laying it out that because Brexit has kind of gone past the hurdle line, you might have some activity in these names. And therefore, you should know that if indeed these stocks are active, why are they active? Largely on account of Brexit. Aside of that, news-based stocks, Cadila, I think, should stand out as the key stock to monitor in today's session. Now, what's happened is that late Thursday evening, they said that they have submitted the phase 1 and phase 2 clinical data of its COVID-19 vaccine and has sought the approval to begin phase 3 clinical trials in around 30,000 volunteers. Now, what are brokerages on Cadila saying? And I think Edelweiss has come out this note wherein they are saying that Cadila has separately indicated that the vaccine could be launched by May 21 and plans to produce 100 to 150 million doses per annum. And I think they are saying that if they estimate that if this vaccine is successful, could upgrade their earnings by about 50% and could be a big earning catalyst. So viewers, let's watch out for Cadila in the session today. That could be one stock to monitor. I think a lot of other pharma stocks should be in focus as well in the session today, right? So aside of Cadila, we had Lupin, which has got some regulatory approval as well. And therefore, watch out for Lupin 2 in the session today. I think that's the other stock that you should monitor. So Cadila, Lupin, and Aurobindo had some news bit on Thursday. So pharma certainly seems to be in focus. Do watch out for that pharma pack in the session today, but particularly Cadila Healthcare. Westlife development could be interesting. The news is not as big as ACC and Ambuja's royalty, but they've said the royalty for FY21 and FY22 remains at 4% versus an expected 4.5% for FY22, and for a small marginal positive. In the release, they also state that they have started opening new stores, or have opened new stores post-COVID. Therefore, that is a positive too. Plus, this space is anyways in focus, right? Post Burger King IPO. So, yep, watch out for Westlife development. Could be interesting. Just to clear one piece of doubt, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, if Westlife now gets North and West, then it'll North and East, then it'll be a big kicker." I don't think that is happening. Please, Westlife, I don't think has ever made a comment that they will get the Northern and the Eastern franchises. They currently have West and South, and I don't think that is changing in any fashion whatsoever. So please don't have or harbor any false hopes. But yes, Westlife, because of this news, could certainly be in focus. I would watch out for NIIT Limited, not NIIT Tech, NIIT Limited. They've approved the buyback of equity shares at the board meeting. They'll buy back about 1 crore shares, I think, which amounts to about 7% of total equity, which is not small, by the way. And the buyback price is at 240, and that's a 20% premium to Thursday's closing price. So you would probably expect this stock to certainly have a move in the session today. So do watch out for this one. A lot of technical traders have been telling me that this was waiting to move around. It's finally got the trigger to do so. Let's wait and watch how it reacts. I would watch out for some stocks on which we had already seen some bit of build up in Thursday's session. So I was talking about Cadila. If you just look at the derivative positioning on Cadila Healthcare, I think it had started to gain a little bit any which ways. So 3% gain with about a 29% OI build up. So there was some long build up that was anyways done in Cadila Healthcare. So do watch out for that. Do watch out for SAIL. Some very active long build up. The stock has gained quite a bit, 1.51% up in that session too. And I would watch out for the life insurance plays. Both ICICI Pru Life and SBI Life had some gains to themselves. So I would watch out for both of those. And I would watch out for Sun Pharma, of course, because that stock also saw some, it's not 7.35%, it's 7.35%. It's our error, but that's okay. You get the message that there was a price build-up and an OI change, which means that there was long build-up in Sun Pharma as well. So I would watch out for that stock too. Last but not the least, what stood out for me, and I think what stood out for most people, is the meteoric rise in Bitcoin, isn't it? All of you have heard of it, even if you don't invest in it or have not invested in it. But, well, it's crossed 27,000 and since October. But I think particularly in the month of December, it's just gone boom from 20,000 to 27,000. And I think that's the key rise. Yes, you could argue that from October, it's moved up from 10,000 to 20,000 in December, and that's 100% uptick. But I think on that base, to move up from 20,000 or sub 20,000 to 27,000 in the month of December has been just crazy. It's very overheated. I'm not debating out here whether it's a good asset class or a bad asset class. Everybody's got their views. I have mine and some others have theirs. So let's leave that out. But the point being, there is recognition out here that cryptocurrency is coming as an asset class amongst most large financial institutional investors who are accepting now and allocating a part of their portfolio. Having said that, like I said, I'm not getting into the merits and demerits of investing or not investing in Bitcoin. I'm merely pointing out that the crypto is now about 27,000. So even if you or I or anybody discard it as something, it's certainly got a price backing right now, which is clearly in favor of it. So yeah, this price movement certainly stood out for me. I would urge you to log on to BloombergQuint.com. There are a bunch of articles around Bitcoin and what's happening around that, a bunch of articles around the Ant Group and what's happened late last evening, because of which the whole Alibaba's stock prices are under a bit of pressure. Those are very interesting articles to read as well. But stay safe. Have a profitable week ahead. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup.